following program is closed captioned for the thinking impaired.
By tomorrow, I will rule the world!
You think he's gone? He's not gone. That's the whole point. He's never gone.
Is this some radical new therapy?
You see?
Well, I must have not been paying attention when you were just talking to me.
It's working today. I can't get the live notice to share it. Oh, there it is. How do we share this now? Share.
Everyone who's watching, please share,
So
like.
you post this as a reel. Is that what's going on?
No.
No. That was a Dominican no if I ever heard one.
No.
No.
¿Cómo?
Dios mío, Dios
Ay,
mío.
Dios mío. Oh my God. Congratulations to everyone graduating college and all that
High
good
school,
stuff.
college.
High school, everything. I love to see the pictures. I'm getting old. Not gonna lie.
Please.
Some of the kids I used to watch are like graduating college and own houses, have kids and dogs, and Jesus.
See my new baby that I got?
Ooh.
I'm liking it.
What's
too.
her name?
I don't know.
You should give her a name.
I was going to call her Christine, but I don't want anybody to file a restraining order against me.
No, why don't you call it Rita?
Rita Christine. She said that, not me. Just want that on the record. Hey, we got a candidate for governor coming in next week.
Nice. I'm looking forward to that. I'm
It's gonna
voting
be
for
fun.
whoever is going against her.
Yeah.
I'm voting for it. So.
Well, this is a real Republican. There's a fake Republican running named Keneally. And then this guy, Brian Shortsleeves, is a real Republican. And he's a hero Marine.
Ooh,
So that
I
should
love
help.
that.
Wait, I think I hear Papa Pa's coming.
My
And then-
boyfriend is a Marine.
And then in a couple of weeks, we got Mark Roberge and Edgar Trancoso from the band Prospect Hill are coming in.
Ooh.
And I'm hoping they're going to bring their guitars with them, because that's going to be fun.
Absolutely. They definitely have to.
These guys started off in Lawrence as like in Mark's garage on Prospect Hill. And they're not even on Prospect Hill. He's on that little where Myra Ortiz lives. It's at Norris Street. It's at that little side street at the bottom of the hill.
Oh, I'm not sure.
And now they're playing all over the world. It's crazy.
Good for them.
Yeah.
More Papa.
More. David Consoli called me from Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors.
Oh, yeah. I missed them at the bash.
I think he's starting to feel the heat on that
Oh,
one.
yeah?
Now.
No, I don't mean to like.
He's gonna have to come next year with 3 tables of people.
Oh
next
yeah.
year.
Oh yeah. He has to bring the party. So is it a done deal? Your new friend? Is it called Rita or no?
I don't know. We'll have to think about it. I might come up with something better.
Yeah. Think of something sexy.
All right. Okay.
When I think sexy, I think Pamela Anderson.
I'll call it Carlota.
Ooh.
Carlota Castillo. Sí. That's my Speedy Gonzalez. Hey, how you guys doing? My name is Tom Duggan with the Pagan. Oh, wait for it. Most people don't know that that's at the end.
Oh, I thought it was over.
It's a little secret thing. No, it's a little secret thing.
Okay. Are we done?
I think so. Hi, how you guys doing? My name is Tom Duggan here with the Paying Attention Podcast. High atop two guys. No, not two guys smoke shop. No. High atop the Golden Seal Apothecary in downtown North Andover, right across the street from the Plush Valley Patriot offices on Main Street, North Andover, at the NCAM studios. And before we start the show, really, honestly, I wasn't able to get to town meeting. I really wanted to go to town meeting because I wanted to vote no on like everything. Like, I so hate everything town meeting does now because North Andover used to be a strictly Republican town. When I moved to North Andover in 2001, North Andover was a strictly Republican town. Now I think I'm the only Republican left. It's like me and Kevin Doobie putting the lights out. That's pretty much it. And so everything at town meeting is about banning plastic bags and global warming and all this liberal crap.
Waste of time.
More money for the schools, more money for teachers, more money for fields, more money for this. It's more money, because, everybody here is rich.
Yeah.
And, of course, I'm not rich, so I'm voting no on everything. But because there was no parking, I couldn't get in. And I couldn't even find a handicap parking spot. Those are all taken. So I kind of sat there for a half an hour because a lot of times people will go into town meeting for the first couple of warrant articles and then they'll bail. Mm-hmm. Like, there's a lot of people who go just to be seen.
Okay.
And I've noticed over the years when I go that there's people who come in to be seen, say hi to people, have a coffee, vote in a couple of things, and sneak out the back door. And then there's usually plenty of parking spots within a half an hour, but not this week. This week, a half an hour into town meeting, there was still no parking spots. And I was not the only one lingering in the parking lot looking for a spot, waiting for somebody to leave. So finally I said, screw it. I was watching it on my phone. I went back to the office, and I just reported it from what MCAM was reporting. And I got to be honest with you, it looked like a really professional production. Yes. I mean, they did a good job. They did as good a job as Channel 4, 5, and 7 would if they had been there.
Unbelievable. Can we give them a shout out?
Absolutely.
Nick,
Brian and Anthony and Nick and Bill and everybody that's been involved with NCAM. And by the way, I don't say that just because we do the show here. I would have said that anyway.
They've been great with us since we've been here. So.
Yeah, they've been really good. And they do a good show. And by the way, I know that they're trying to put together a package if you want to do a podcast like me. Yeah. And you want to do it here. Mm-hmm. It's pretty reasonable. Mm-hmm. I mean, you have to pay, but it's pretty reasonable. And you should call Brian and see if, maybe they can put a package together for you.
So that's the North Andover Cam.
Yeah, North Andover Cam, yeah. 70 Main, Debo and Kelly are listed 70 Main Street if you want to come in and complain, try and get us thrown out.
Well, don't come right now.
Like you did at Two Guys Smoke Shop. No, if they want to come now, that would be fine.
Oh, okay.
While I'm here. Yeah. All right. What else do we have? Mark Robles. Lawrence High alumni. So next Thursday we're going to have Brian Shortsleeve here. He's a Republican candidate for governor. And then Thursday night, and you're welcome to come as a member of the Bash Committee. We're going to have a table. The Valley Patriot Bash Committee has a table at the Lawrence High School alumni banquet, scholarship banquet. And I always speak at that. They ask me to speak. Yeah. And every year I have teachers like grabbing me on my way out the door, telling me how inappropriate my remarks were, and because they're all a bunch of left-wing crazy educators. Yeah. And so I get up and I say, things that they don't like to hear because it's true. Yeah. And
so that's May 22nd.
That's next week from today. Yeah, a week from today.
All right. Yeah, I can
22nd at 6:00.
Sounds good.
So we're going to have at least a table there, and that'll be fun. And we're going to present the check to J. Ronnie Ferrin, the ROTC scholarship recipient.
Incredible kid.
Nice kid. So here's the thing with the Bash. A lot of people can't afford $50 a ticket. We give every scholarship kid a free ticket for himself, and then 2 tickets for either his parents or grandparents or whoever he wants to bring. And a lot of them can't afford to bring their entire family because it's $50 a head. Like we have expenses to pay and stuff. So that when the Lawrence High Scholarship comes up and the Methuen High Scholarship comes up, if they invite us, we go to that, and we represent the same check, although this year he's going to get a little bit more because he got money came in afterwards. And then for this, it's free for the family, so they'll be able to he'll be able to bring his his third cousins and his mailman and his
awesome.
his mother's third cousin's babysitter, whoever they want to bring, they can bring. And then it's a little bit more special because then they all get to pose with the big check, and that's always a little bit fun. Yeah. What else do we have?
A big shout out to Reddy Carter who's watching. Marie is also watching, and June Fisher. Thank you.
I love June Fisher. She's got to get that T-shirt. In fact, she's got to get a T-shirt for me. I guess the hood boogers have been harassing her now, and they're calling her like the biker bitch or something.
No.
So she went out and she got a T-shirt that says the biker bitch. That's fucking hilarious.
Your dog is beautiful.
I love it. All right, so we got a bunch of things to get to, but here's the thing. Before we get to the big political stuff, and we are going to get to it pretty quick today, but I have people, and it's not a lot of people, but I'm always surprised at who it is when they say it. I have a lot of people who, and I shouldn't say a lot. I have few people, but at least once a week, someone will come over and go, I'm kind of sick of the whole Kelly Debo thing. When are you going to let that go? Yeah. When are you going to just let it go? When are you, we're all kind of sick of it, and I get it. You're in an ADD society. We're in a TikTok environment where after 15 seconds of a topic, you just can't retain it anymore, and you want people to just move on. And it's one of the reasons why, in a mayor or a president, when they're halfway through their second term, no matter how good they're doing, people usually will elect at the next election they're the opposing party because they're just so sick.
Yeah.
Because
they got tired of it.
So I have a lot of, and again, I keep wanting to say a lot, but it's really not a lot. But I periodically have people say to me, "When are you going to let it go?" I had an elected official say it to me the other day. Somebody that I expected more from, say, someone who knows better, say, when are you going to let it go? they've been really quiet. I'm like, they've been quiet? Like, where have you been? They're quiet?
They're not quiet.
No, they're not quiet. They're ramping it up. They're actually getting worse. You would think getting their asses kicked in court 3 times and then in the New Hampshire Supreme Court, you would think that they would have kind of just moved on and stopped doing what they're doing, but they can't help themselves. They're hood boogers, and it's just kind of the way that it is.
I just wish people would just let you be. Like, mind your business. I'm not saying mind their business. Maybe some people have good intention, but we need to stop telling people what to do,
right.
or like based on our
right.
own morals or our own beliefs.
Right.
Like, you do what you have to do. After everything you went through, I mean, I don't blame you.
This elected official that said to me recently, you should really let that go. And then I asked that person, I almost said a gender. I asked that person, well, did you know they did this? Oh, I didn't know that. Well, did you know they did that? Well, I didn't know that. I go, so you don't even know the whole story, but you want me to let it go. You're not even fully informed, but you're telling me how to handle the issue. So maybe you should watch my podcast once in a while, maybe pick up the Valley Patriot. You are an elected official.
Yeah.
You should probably be reading the newspaper, which the person obviously isn't when it comes to the public record stuff, and we'll get to that soon enough. So I went to an event this week for Juan Manny Gonzalez. He's been on the show. Oh, by the way, we're going to have we're doing an interview with Brian DePina next week. That's going to be fun.
Yay!
It's going to be well, I'm not going to give too much out because there are people who will try and screw that up for me. But Brian's going to be on. Manny has been on, and so now I'm starting to go to political events.
Yeah.
And so I went to the South Lawrence. I know I'm going to screw it up. It's like the South Lawrence kind of West neighborhood group.
Okay.
It's like there's like the Mount Vernon group, which is actually South Lawrence West, and then there's Brenda's group, which is like the South Lawrence kind of West. I don't know. I'm getting it wrong, but whatever. Juan Manny Gonzalez gets up. Now, another side note on this. It's very interesting that Lawrence Cable Access and Tom Spitaleri at Lawrence Cable Access has never been to a Brian DePina event, but they're supposed to be neutral. They're supposed to be cable access.
Yeah.
But shows up at Manny Gonzalez events. And by the way, this is the second that I know of, but I have never seen them at a Brian event. And if I was on Brian's campaign staff, which I'm not, but if I was, I think I'd be filing with the FCC on that, saying how come they're going to political events promoting a particular candidate when they're not giving the same equal amount of time to our candidate. That's a side note. So I went and we listening to people ask questions. I don't want to insult anybody because it wasn't everyone for sure. But the minute I walked in the room, it reminded me of why I don't go to these things anymore.
Got it.
For a lot of people in the room, and again, not everyone, because there's a lot of good people that were there, and I saw a lot of friends I haven't seen in years, which was pretty fun. But those kind of events tend to attract the lonely crybabies in the community that just want to be heard. The people that talk about things they don't know what they're talking about, they don't really care about the issue, they want other people to hear them talk about it so they'll feel important. And I walked in and I saw certain people and I was just like, just seeing like 2 or 3 of the people there reminded me of, you know what, this just reminded me of why I don't come to these things. But Kelly and Debo were not there. Lee Fickenworth wasn't there. So it was a pretty good meeting, and everybody kind of did their own thing. And I asked a couple of questions that we're going to talk about today of Juan Manny Gonzalez. And I don't know that he answered it satisfactorily, but he did answer it, so I'll give him credit for that. And then as I was leaving, I noticed, guess who walked in at some point, and I didn't notice, and was lingering at the door, so I had to go by them to leave. It was crybaby Kelly Frazier and welfare queen Lee Fickenworth. And, well, I mean, listen, we went to high school together. She's been on welfare since we were in high school. I don't think she's ever had a real job.
Oh, God.
And if she did, it didn't last for more than a week. So they're there, and they're lingering by the door. So there's literally no way I can get out of Carlene's. Great breakfast place, by the way. You guys should all try it. The Farrington family is a wonderful family. They're great people. And so I went over to Manny's campaign manager, Lenita Dykes, who's an incredible political consultant, a very good friend of mine. We chatted a little bit, and I waited to see if they were going to just leave on their own or if they were waiting for me. And it was very clear they were waiting for me. So they wanted me to walk by them so they could either grab me or say something to me, which, of course, they did. So I start walking out. And before I get to the door, Lee Fickenworth said something. I don't know what she said because I really don't care. So I was trying to tune her out. But Crybaby Callie turns to me, like right in front of my face, and says, "I hear you're coming for my house. Come for it, bitch." So I said, "Oh, listen, trust me."
We have proof of this, no?
I recorded the whole thing.
Oh, okay. Oh, thank God.
These people are so stupid. We've even said on the show that I record everything, and they still come over and do stuff like this. So, and I don't want to bore everybody with all the audio and all the video, but when I pulled up to this event, I had a feeling because it's Lawrence, because it's Brenda's event, and Brenda likes Kelly, that Kelly would probably be there. So I left my dash cam on, and my car is right in front of the door. So as I'm leaving, you can see. Now, here's the thing. No, I'm not. I'm going to do this after the video. So I have the video going, and you can see on the video. We're going to show this to you in a second. You can see on the video when I tap the dash cam to let them know that I'm recording them.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they turn around and they run right in.
Yeah.
Like immediately, of course, Lee is throwing me the finger and all that. Well, let's take a look at this because I don't want to comment on this afterwards if you have this. This is hilarious. This is hilarious. So here's me trying to leave, and she's saying stuff to me, and I'm just laughing at her. I'm mocking her. I'm saying something like, "Boo-hoo, you're in fear of your life," or something, because that's what she said in court.
Hold on.
Do we have this? Oh,
Yeah,
please,
we do have
please
it.
tell me
but
it's
I
going to
don't
play.
know why it's not playing. Let me see.
You're killing me here. There you go. I'm coming, I said.
He said Gaza. I'm in fear of my life. Oh, he said Gaza.
Bitch, I'm a
He
bitch.
said Gaza. Oh. Where? I'm in fear of my life.
What a classy lady.
Yeah. No, see, now I tap the dash cam. Oh, now we're running in. No, now we have nothing to say now. Oh, yeah. Real brave now that you know you got a camera on you. So, why do I bring this up? Why do I keep doing this? Why can't I just let it go? Listen, if they weren't following me around everywhere I went, if they weren't following me to my car everywhere I went, I might be able to let it go. But they won't do that. And then they play the victim. They pretend that it didn't happen. And if I don't have it on video, and by the way, I actually have all the audio of them starting inside too, right? So if I didn't have all of that, they would play the victim, and they'd be running to the courts, and they'd be running to the police saying, he assaulted me, he threatened me. They're going to make up some of the story because they lie about everything. They lie so much that even the name of her nonprofit, International Veterans Care Services, isn't international. Like, everything about these people is a fucking lie. So I started thinking on my way home, and I thought, don't I have the transcript of Kelly in court saying she's in fear of her life of Tom Duggan? Do we have that? Do we have that slide of Kelly? I pulled it from the transcript of the of her.
You want the
stalking.
overtime or you want?
No, I want the one with her picture on it.
Oh, okay. Here it is.
Here we go. This is what she told the court. This is what she told Judge Zano in Salem, New Hampshire District Court. I can't sleep at night. As soon as I see him, I start shaking and I run. I run because he's going to kill me. Just seeing him, I cry. I shake. I can't work. I can't sleep. I'm literally in fear of my life from this man. He's stalking me. He follows me around and I just cry. I'm afraid of this man because nobody will make him stop. He carries a gun and he said, Gaza. Now, let me ask you guys something. Those of you who keep telling me to let this go.
Yeah, Jean Blanchard just said, let it go.
Yeah. Did that video look like she was in fear of her life? She knows I'm carrying a gun. She knows I'm concealed carry. Yeah. Does that video look like she's in fear of her life from me? She literally followed me to my car and only went back inside when I tapped the dash cam to show her that I was videotaping her.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear this. She's in fear of her life. I'm a stalker. The real stalker here is, by the way, guess where she was last night?
Where?
Circling the periphery of TMF, waiting for me to leave. And then finally, at the end of TMF, when I usually pull out, her and her hood booger buddies, John Greenlaw and a couple others, got out of the car and stood by the exit waiting for me to leave to go out Common Street. So just so that I wouldn't accommodate her, I went out Amesbury Street and went straight. And then I heard them yelling, pussy, pussy, you're running away. Like, like I'm running from them. No, I just don't want to deal with your bull crap.
Oh, no, they want you to, like, fight or something?
Well, yeah, they want to get me on video saying something so they can do to me what I do to them. But here's the thing. They can never do that because I don't cross the line. I don't follow them around.
Nope.
I don't make what they do in their life the primary thing that I live for. I don't follow them in traffic. She followed me in traffic and followed me all the way home twice from TMF. So those of you, certain city council female from district counselor who's telling me I should let it go, let it go, let it go, let it go. Let me ask you, you're kind of a snowflake yourself. Would you have put up with that? Would you let it go if these people were doing this to you? Because honestly, I laugh at her because she claims she's in fear of her life from me, like she's a victim. And then you see how she behaved. You see how she behaved when she didn't think there was a camera on her. Now, one of the things she said when I was leaving, I didn't understand what it was, but when I went back and listened to the tape, she said something about emails. She said, you're threatening people with emails or something to that effect. And I went back and I listened to the tape. And what she was saying was, she was mad that I'm trying to get her emails from City Hall.
Oh, okay.
So why am I trying to get Kelly Frazier's emails from City Hall? Is it just to embarrass her? Pull up that. You're not going to be able to read it because it's kind of small.
It is, yeah.
But I had a whistleblower feed this to me last week. Where you see the black mark, see what says Kelly Frazier? Community Development Department, Homeless Coordinator, $1,303.23. What does it say at the top of that last column? Total overtime. Overtime. Intern girl, you can pull that down. Intern girl asked a question last week when we were talking about the public records that I'm trying to get from attorney Tim Hooton, who is illegally denying me the records. This is one of the records he's denying me. I had a whistleblower at City Hall who watched last week's show, called me after the show and said, you know, Tom, I left City Hall, and I'm listening to your show in my car. And I heard intern girl ask you, well, why would she be getting overtime if she's a salaried employee? And you just dismissed it. And I remember seeing her name on the overtime sheet. And she is or was a salaried non-union employee. So I went back to work and I screen captured what I had. And I'm sending it to you. You'll get it in a couple of minutes. I'm gonna text it to you. So they did. They texted it to me. So now let me ask you guys, why would 9 members of the Lawrence City Council not intervene when the Lawrence City Attorney illegally denies documents to a newspaper? And we are now starting to find out what at least some of that answer is. Some of that answer is Attorney Tim Hooton has been in collaboration with the comptroller, who's technically the CAFO, but appointed herself interim comptroller or acting comptroller or whatever her technical title is. And they approved a non-union salaried employee because Tim Hooton is friends with Kelly Frazier.
Really?
To get overtime. Now, we all know that that's illegal. If you're a salaried employee, you can only get comp time. What's the difference between comp time and overtime? Well, if you work in any government office, you know the answer, but if you don't, I'm going to explain it to you. If you're an hourly employee, you work for DPW, you're a cop, you work above your 40 hours, you get time and a half overtime. If it's a holiday, Christmas, it could be double time, triple time, depending on, it might be a Sunday. If New Year's falls on a Sunday, you might get triple time because it's a Sunday, but it's also a holiday. But if you're a salaried employee, if you're Octavian Spanner, if you're the DPW director, if you're
the mayor,
you're a salaried employee, and if you work above your 40 hours, I think the mayor might be exempt from this. But if you're a salaried employee, you work over your 40 hours, you get what's called comp time, which means if I'm the DPW director and I work 45 hours this week instead of 40, that means I get to take 5 hours off at some other time in the future. I get 5 hours coming back to me, but I don't get paid overtime for that because I'm a salaried employee. That's legally the definition of a salaried employee. So why, of all the salaried employees in Lawrence, of all the non-union employees in Lawrence, two, we're going to talk about the other one next week, but this particular one got overtime. And by the way, that's only one of the sheets that I have. There's more coming. There's more coming. And you want to ask me why I don't let this stuff go? Because the corruption that's being covered up, there's no reason why any city attorney would try to charge a newspaper $11,000 for emails unless they were purposely trying to conceal them from you.
Of course.
Period. Here's what else we found out while I've been digging in all this. Because I've been having daily conversations now with the attorneys at the Secretary of State's office. And by the way, they're not happy. Ooh. Tim Hooten sent out an email to all the city councilors telling them that he had permission from the Secretary of State's office to charge me $11,000 for emails, which was very, very surprising to hear from them.
Really?
Yeah, they didn't really respond very positively when I told them that and sent them that email and said, "Did you know that this attorney is saying you gave him permission to charge me this?" And they were like, "We would never do $11,000 for emails, Mr. Duggan. That's crazy." Why were they trying to charge me $11,000? Well, there's two reasons. One, they figured I'd never come up with the money. But if I did, where would that money go? Does anybody know where that money would go?
Where?
I don't know where that money would go. But it does open up some questions. Like,
wasn't it to pay someone?
He's in league. The city attorney's in league with the comptroller, who's the CAFO, who appointed herself the comptroller, and the CAFO is actually supposed to be the overseer of the comptroller, but now it's all the same person. She gets to approve her own stuff.
Okay.
As the comptroller, she approves, let's say, overtime, and then as the CAFO, who's supposed to oversee that and put a stop to it, she approves that as well as the CAFO. But her son works in, what department does her son work? Oh, IT. And who would be getting Tom Duggan's emails? Like what department would be in charge of going through the emails Tom Duggan is looking for? Yeah. That would be the IT department. So now we have to ask, was that $11,000 going to be going to a particular individual in IT? Was that ever going to find its way into, because really, how would anyone know? If I wrote a check, if I was a millionaire and I said, you know what, I'm not even going to fight this. I'm just going to write the check for $11,000 because I want these emails so bad. Yeah. And I wrote them a check. How would anybody know if that went into the right account? How would anybody know that that $11,000 went into the city coffers, or maybe somebody in IT was going to benefit from it? I'm not saying that. It hasn't happened, right? Because I haven't written the check. But it certainly raises a lot of questions. And these are the questions that if I got my documents, I wouldn't have to ask. But now that I don't have my documents, I have to ask. I have to ask, why is attorney Tim Hooten going out of his way, and was Kevin Foley, but he did the honorable thing and resigned, and now Tim Hooten's the guy left. Why are they concealing that? And why are they concealing her timesheets? Because once I get the timesheets, we're going to be able to match that up with her pay, which I already showed you, and we're going to be able to see if she was getting overtime for working at TMF, because while she was at TMF, she was actually working for her nonprofit, which means on the clock, on your dime, on the taxpayer's dime. This is why we need these documents. And I did lay all of this out for the Secretary of State's office. They were very interested in all of it. They were taking copious notes. And so I'm gonna keep digging.
Okay.
We're gonna keep asking. It's interesting that the city council seems to be not interested in at all. All 9 councilors seem to be not interested at all that a salaried, exempt, non-union employee was getting overtime, and it was only, you can say it's only $1,300. That's only for that pay period that I showed you.
Can someone give me $1,300
right
now? I'll take it.
But even if it's $1, it's still illegal.
It is.
If you walk into a bank and you rob them of $1, is it still bank robbery? I think it kind of is. So this is going to come to a head. Secretary of State's office, I did not want to involve them, counselors.
You tried. You came here. You gave them warning. You reached out to everyone that you could in order to get this, and they were still giving you a no. They were following with, whatever the councils were saying.
I'm glad you're saying it.
And, I mean, you have to do what you have to do. We have to do.
Yep.
And can I tell you something?
Sure.
I'm so glad we have people like you.
Oh,
I am so glad, because no one takes the time to do this homework and to really look deep into situations like this. And this is important. So I'm very thankful and grateful for you. I also want to give a shout out to John Regal, who is watching us live. He said, thank you for coming to my campaign kickoff.
Oh, thank you. Listen, John Regal, and anybody running for city council, there's two things you should be asking when candidates knock on your door. You should be asking why non-union city employees are getting overtime. But the real question you need to be asking, because when all of this is over, this is where the road's going to end. And I'm going to just give you a preview because it's coming. I know this drives David Consoli crazy that I telegraph what I'm going to do before I do it.
Yeah.
But they're so fucking stupid that it doesn't matter. They still do it. They still, no matter how many times I warn them what I'm going to do, they still do what they're going to do. When all this is over, every single member of the voting public in Lawrence, when a city council candidate knocks on your door, the number one question you should be asking them is this: how much money has the city of Lawrence in the last 4 years spent on legal fees and lawsuit payouts? You're going to be effing shocked when you find out how much money Tim Hooton and the city attorney's office and the people running the city have cost the city in lawsuits and legal fees. And by the way, that includes when the city gets sued, they hire outside counsel. So you think they're just paying, like, up until recently, 2 city attorneys, Foley and Hooton. But on a lot of these cases, Hooton and Foley weren't handling those cases at all. It was going to outside law firms. How much money are those outside law firms making? And by the way, if we're paying 2 city attorneys, I hope you voters are listening in Lawrence, because you guys are going to make people's heads explode when they knock on your door looking for your vote and you start asking them these questions, because they're not going to have an answer for you. They're not going to have it. But you know what they're going to do? They're going to start digging. They're going to find out. They're going to stop. Because if 3 or 4 people ask them that same question, they're going to feel really foolish when they knock on the 4th and 5th door and somebody asks them that question. They don't have an answer, right?
Yeah.
It's going to make it very hard for people to want to vote for you if you don't have an answer to a simple question like, how much money has the city of Lawrence spent on legal expenses and lawsuit payouts? That includes outside counsel, inside counsel. And that's where all of this is going. When I'm done with Kelly, make no mistake about it, I'm coming for the legal teams in Lawrence. Because when a newspaper asks for public documents, the newspaper should get the public documents. That's like the entire thing that the entire basis of the First Amendment, freedom of the press, is based on. And when I ever said to the people at the Secretary of State's office, they're trying to charge me $11,275, they were aghast. And then when I read to them on the phone the email Tim Hooton sent out saying he had their permission to do it, they are in trouble.
What is the Secretary of State?
Secretary of State's office?
Yes.
Bill Galvin.
Bill Galvin.
Is the Secretary of State.
Yes.
Someone that I have tangled with over the years, but we've become, I don't want to say friends. We don't hang out. But we've become very friendly over the years.
Okay, you respect one another. That's it.
We butted heads a lot on this very issue of public records. But when I finally filed my bill to change the public records law, he was right there with me. He testified right next to me, saying that he wanted the penalties that I wanted. He agreed with the time restrictions, the cost restrictions. He was all for it. He and I disagreed on a couple of minor things, but we went out in the hallway. Diana Zoglia was there. The 3 of us had a conversation about it, and we all came to an agreement that, like, you know what? Let's split the baby in the middle, right? Yeah. So I agreed if the legislature wants to exempt themselves for now, if you give us time limits and cost limits on what the public should be charged. Now, I honestly think, and I said it last week, that the public should never be charged for public records because we're already paying public employees to produce those records. That's their job. So why should the public have to, you pay your taxes so public employees can produce public records, why do you then have to pay them again?
Exactly.
And by the way, does anybody know where that money goes? That's another question we're going to be asking. We're going to be paying very close attention.
Oh, yeah.
Very close attention to that.
Shout out to Kevin Alvarez, everyone in the chat that's watching. Please share, like, comment.
Yeah.
Say hi. Hi, hello.
Hi, how you guys doing? Appreciate you being here.
Yes, thank you. And by the way, our numbers are looking really good. There's a
good.
lot of people
Excellent.
watching and paying attention.
Excellent. You know, whenever I talk about Debo and Kelly, the numbers spike.
But then they want you to stop.
Right, trust me, I get texts during the show going, please keep going. So listen, everybody thinks that this is all a personal thing, and they're right. I'm not going to deny that it's personal,
Good.
but it's also legitimate. And too often today, people say, oh, that's personal, as if that delegitimizes your beef with somebody. It delegitimizes the issue that you're talking about. But let's say that, let's say you have a problem with a cop in Lawrence that beat the crap out of you 5 years ago. If he really beat the crap out of you 5 years ago, isn't that beef legitimate? It might be personal now because he beat you up, but isn't that legitimate? And these are the things that we have to start thinking critically about. If we want our city councilors sitting at those goddamn meetings every 2 weeks talking about transparency, 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 over and over and over, as if they believe it, and then sit on their ass and do nothing when a newspaper calls all of them individually and says, your city attorney who works for the council is denying me public records, and they do nothing, like literally nothing. I shouldn't say nothing. 3 councilors did call the city attorney and said, what's the story? But then took his word for it and took his side.
Why? Because he's an attorney?
And one of them said, but Tom, like she's practically clutching her pearls. But Tom, you're threatening to sue the city. Right, don't you think when the city does something wrong, the city should be sued? Don't you think that if a cop beats someone up, don't you think that if a DPW worker is drunk driving and while he's on the job, don't you think the city should be sued? Doesn't that prevent it from happening again? So they've got this myopic view on the council that to stop all lawsuits at any cost. But all that does is it encourages bad behavior by city employees who know that the councils are going to have their back if someone wants to sue. Yeah. So, anyways, any good comments in the chat? Or can I move on to Mike Samad? Oh, good. All right.
The voters in Lawrence don't care about these things. They only care about what's in it for themselves. Right. That's Jeff Ramsey, and also Kevin McAdams said, good job, Tom. Similar to the situation in Methuen. Thank you guys for watching. Please share, like.
She says that so genuine, like she really is. Like she really is thankful that you're listening.
You know, I
have to pretend
understand.
That I care.
I understand that that you got to trust the professionals, right? Like I'm all for when I go to the doctors, whatever recommendations my doctors give me, I take them, you know, I understand. But it is okay to question things. It is okay to do your own research. It is okay for you to go out of your way. I mean, you know, we live in a free country, basically. So I get the city councilors kind of taking his side on that end because they believe, you know, they trust him. He's looking out for them, the best for the city or whatnot. But it's okay for you to kind of push those buttons and really question it. So.
I tried not to take it personal when a certain councilor who I love to death, I really love her so much as a human being. But when she started pushing back with me and she started with well, you're threatening to sue, and I talked to him.
Which one?
I don't want to say because it's a private conversation. No one will ever talk to me again if I start saying names.
Is it a really, really pretty one?
So in love with her, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, she's beautiful. She's beautiful.
But what I'm trying to say is that, like, it's one thing when the professionals tell you something to want to believe them, but how about do the research? Like, here's a challenge for all my friends on the city council. And I suspect of all of them, Greg's probably going to be the only one that's actually going to do it because he's the only one that's actually proactive. Why don't you guys, on your own, instead of picking up the phone and calling Tim Hooten and asking him why he's concealing public records and then taking his word for it, why don't you pick up the phone and call the Secretary of State's office? And ask them and read to them. Read to them the email Tim Hooten sent you saying that they said it was okay, and see if they react to you the way they reacted to me when I read them the email, because that's going to tell you all you need to know. Now, here's what's going to happen. I love the Telegraph, and I know Dave Idconsoli thinks that he's got a very different view of these kind of things. Like when he comes after you, he doesn't want you to know he's coming.
When is he coming? I want him to come already.
He said in June. He's got some stuff he's got to do, but in June he said
he's busy season for him.
Come. But here's what's going to happen. There is no universe where I don't get these emails. Like there is no path in life. There's no action or inaction that can be taken where I don't get these emails. And there is no universe where I have to pay $11,000 for these emails. There's no universe where I pay $1,000 for these emails. There is no universe where I pay $500 for these emails. And there's certainly no universe where I pay $150 for 2 years of timesheets for Kelly Frazier.
We have a question here.
Okay,
John Savastano is asking, is there a time frame when an action should come out of the Secretary of State's office?
Yes. So I got my letter yesterday. I've been on the phone with them all week. It's today's Thursday?
Yes.
So I called them last week, and Attorney Riley, the woman who normally handles this, was on vacation. So I gave them, the woman on the phone said, I'm going to give you a voicemail, but she's not around this week. I'm like, listen, I waited this long. I can wait another week. So this week I talked to 3 different people in the Secretary of State's office, and they kept calling me back, and I kept emailing back and forth with them because they kept asking for clarification. Because what I sent them was there's an email chain between me, Foley, and Hooten going back to my original request. So every time I email them about something, they include it in the chain of all the other emails.
Yes.
So you can kind of go back. It's kind of like a lawsuit. You can go back and read the beginning and then the first response and the second response. So they kept calling me and asking me for clarification. So we kept going back and forth. And then yesterday, probably around 3 o'clock, I got an official email from them saying, okay, we're now going to start your official appeal against the city of Lawrence, and you will get an answer within 10 days. So 10 days from today, what's today? What's the date? The 15th?
Today's the 15th.
By the 25th of May,
Nice.
we're going to have an answer. And here's what I want from the city councilors and the candidates for city council. When we win, and we're going to win, I want to call for Tim Hooten to be removed. And I said it in my editorial this week because before I even talked to the city the state Secretary of State's attorneys, I'd been talking to low-level people prior to that. But before I even talked to the attorneys this week that I spoke to, I knew what they were going to say because I kind of know a little bit about this. Like, I actually was in on reforming the public records law. And so we know where this is going to end up. And when I win, I want an apology from certain city councilors. And you don't have to do it publicly. Send me a text, call me on the phone, say, Tom, I'm sorry, I should have done something about this. And I'm okay with that.
Oh, buy a night on the paper. How about that?
Well,
that's a good apology.
That's always a great apology because that helps us keep the lights on, right? But I expect those who took Tim Hooten's side, even though they know me and they should have known better, I expect when it's over that they just hold him accountable. Just like any other public employee who lies, any other public employee who misleads people, any other public employee who plays these kind of games, they need to be held accountable.
I feel like what you're saying is not gonna work out because whatever's gonna come out of those emails and that information is gonna take over what you just said.
Well, you're right.
The problem is gonna be bigger.
Right. Once we get the emails, we're talking about the process of getting the emails.
Yeah.
But once we get the emails, it's going to be about the substance of what's in the emails.
Yeah.
But I
It's
don't
gonna
want
be bigger than an apology.
I do not want people to overlook how we got here. And once I get the emails, I don't want people in City Hall, certainly candidates for office, to think that we can just forget now the fact that one city attorney had to resign and the other city attorney is digging his heels in and misleading the council to say that he had permission. He had permission. And they forwarded me a letter that they might have sent it to me. I don't want to say they didn't send it, but I don't think I ever saw it. I don't think I read it. They asked to be able to charge more money, and the Secretary of State said no. And they asked for more time. They were given more time, but after the end of that time, they asked for more time, and the Secretary of State said no to that. I bet he didn't tell Giovanni Rodriguez and the City Council that stuff. I bet he didn't forward that letter to them. So I think I've run out of things to say on this public records thing, but, this is not –
I think we should move on.
I want to close with this. This is not about me, okay? It's happening to me. But I want to close with, if they can do it to a guy that's got a newspaper that can fight back, if they can do it to a guy that's got 16,000 followers on Facebook who can fight back, if they can do it to a guy who's got a podcast who can fight back, if they can do it to a guy who's got all the elected officials on speed dial, including the mayor, who can fight back.
I mean, even not so much locally, but also in the state. You
Right.
know, a lot of people.
Right.
I mean, you're friends with Charlie Baker. I mean, that's huge.
So if they can do it to me, what are they doing to the average person in Lawrence who's unemployed and doesn't have any kind of way to fight back? Like, this is what they're openly doing to Tom Duggan.
Yeah.
So I don't want you to think this is about me. It started about me because I'm the one asking for the documents, but really it's about them.
It's about all of us.
It's about the voters. It's about the taxpayers. And what about the taxpayers in North Andover and Methuen and Andover that pay the bills in Lawrence? They should be upset about this too, because when I submitted a public records request for 15,000 emails from Rita Christine, a.k.a. Tina Conway, I got them in 24 hours at no cost. No cost.
Yeah.
$11,000 in Lawrence, no cost in Methuen.
What was it, 500? pages?
580 pages of emails with 5 emails on each page, double-sided.
Jesus.
Okay, that's a lot of
That's
emails.
a lot. And you read the whole thing?
In fact, myself and Dave Consoli from Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors read through all of it. It took a while.
John Regal says, once I come in, it will be zero tolerance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's not playing around.
Because a lot of people are now calling me from lunch. The Brian DePina haters are calling me going, well, this is your buddy Brian DePina. Why doesn't he do something about it?
Yeah.
And that's because they're misinformed. The city attorneys don't work for the mayor. The city attorneys work for the city council. They work for Giovanni. They work for Stephanie. They work for Wendy. That's who they work for.
Greg.
And they work for Greg. And they work for Mark LaPlante. And so you can't blame Brian for this one. You might be able to blame him on the overtime if you're willing to go after Tim Hooton for what he's doing and hold him accountable. You might be able to get Brian on the overtime because Brian might have signed off on that.
Yeah, but at the same time, when you are at such a high position, they only give you the final number. This is what we're giving, and you should sign on it.
I'm just saying. I
Not
know that
detail.
their only motivation on the council is to make Brian look bad and to hate on Brian.
Yeah.
But you might be able to use this issue to do that if you want to be clever. But how about just do your friggin' job? That's all I'm asking. Like, treat me like anybody else. If my name was Jose Santiago and I lived on Tremont Street and I was looking for public records and I worked for La Mega, I guarantee you those city councils would be climbing over each other to get me those documents. If I worked for Rumbo or La Planeta or El Mundo, they would be climbing over each other. If I worked for Telemundo, you don't think these people would be storming the offices of the city attorney to get those documents?
Are you able to ask like another media to reach out to them for this stuff to see what happens?
I haven't thought about
You
it.
should have done that
Yeah, you're
before you
right.
made it like
You're right.
public. You should have reached out to someone else. Hey, just request this, see what happens, what the conversation looks like, and then go from there.
I'm going to leave you with this, then we have one more quick talk to talk about.
Yeah.
Here's what I haven't told anybody.
No, don't say it.
No, I'm going to say it.
Okay.
The reason I started asking for these documents is because somebody leaked me a document where the Essex County Prosecutor's Office, the Essex County District Attorney's Office, Paul Tucker's office, requested these exact documents and was given these exact documents.
For free?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Take that one to the bank. So, when I tell you guys I have nuclear weapons, don't doubt me. I don't say it unless it's true. Like, have you ever remember, like, whether you love me or you hate me, there's a lot of people watch the show that don't like me, but they like what I do.
Yeah.
Even the people who hate me, have I ever come in here and said this is the way it's going to work, and then it didn't work out that way? Because if that was the case, you guys would be all over Facebook trashing me like crazy. Hey, remember the time Tom said this and it never happened? That has not occurred. That has not occurred because I actually know what I'm talking about. And so this goes back to the Kelly and Debo stuff and the court stuff and everything else. The reason why I'm going to get them in the end is because I know what I'm doing. I'm not crossing the line, and I'm dotting all my I's, I'm crossing all my T's, and I'm doing it right. Whereas they are following me to my car and following me home from TMF, and they're doing their stuff, and Tim Hooton's not doing the right thing. And I can tell you, him denying me the records is bad. But I think his major offense was the email that he wrote, claiming he had permission. And when he wrote that email claiming he had permission, given the reaction I was getting on the phone, I think that's what's going to get him in trouble.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I don't know why they doubt you. You're always two steps ahead, and you've been around since 2004 with the newspaper.
And I
you've seen a lot of things.
And I telegraph before I do what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
Like I say, here's what I'm going to do, and they go, "Oh, he's never going to do that."
Oh, Dave
even though
Consoli.
we did the last 300 times, and this time he's not going to do it.
Yeah.
And so, I don't know.
All right. Do you want to move on to the next?
I do, but you know what I didn't do at the top of the show? I didn't read our sponsors. So
I know. I was telling you.
I'm going to do a quick sponsor roll, and then we have a video, and then we're going to end the show real quick because we're a little over time. Let's take our sponsor: Century 21 McLennan Real Estate, the Zany Pesci Law Office, Marsan and Son Construction, EIS Investigation and Gun Training. Tomo and Shaken Seafood, Clear Path for Veterans New England, AFC Urgent Care. Haven't heard from Zucker in a while. Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, Prime Insurance, the Doug Mercurio Lofts. I think his son had a birthday yesterday or today.
Who?
Doug Mercurio.
I think it's today. Yeah.
Is it today?
His second born. Happy birthday to
My
him.
sleep patterns are so screwed up that all my days run together. I can never remember. Chris's Barbershop on Main Street in Salem, New Hampshire. Excuse me. Enterprise Bank. God, I love the Enterprise Bank girls so much.
I know.
Oh, my God. By the way, pick up this edition of the Valley Patriot. There's pictures of the Enterprise Bank girls in the middle pages. They went to Karina's fundraiser, and I use Karina's fundraiser as an excuse to put the Enterprise Bank girls in the paper. I'm going to do that every. We're going to start calling this the Enterprise Bank paper by the time we're done.
You should.
Who else do we have? Enterprise Bank. Did I mention Enterprise Bank?
You did.
Okay, W3ON, 4-star lighting, my buddy Joe over there, and a free shout-out to Stadium Chiropractic. And now that it's getting warmer, free shout-out
to JG's Ice Cream.
JG's Ice Cream. I always forget it's the opposite when I'm looking at the monitor. All right, so one more thing for you, and then we're going to try and bounce out of here, and I'm going to go to bed, finally. I haven't been to bed yet. I slept for like a couple hours, like late last night. But what happened?
Jeff Ramsey said, Kelly and Debo are hood rats, always scheming.
Yeah, you think?
Hi, Nikki.
So last February, I was in court with Crybaby Kelly.
Yeah.
And I was supposed to be at an event. What happened?
Move on from that. Let's go to the next.
Well, no, I'm explaining. We are moving to the next.
Okay.
See, now you're being like that other counselor.
No.
Move on. You got to move on.
No, because I already have the video. I have the things ready.
So I was supposed to be. So I got Janet Aldrich, who I worked very well with at Conflim News, Catch of the Day Video News, and she, by the way, did the video of the bash, which is great. And at some point I'll post that. She called me in February of last year and asked me if I could come cover a protest that she was spearheading and she was helping to put together, because there was a kid whose parents refused to give him the COVID shot. And because the parent refused to give him the COVID shot, the state took the kid away.
Jesus.
Now just imagine, you're supposed to be the parent who's to decide whether your kid gets medical treatment or not. He's not dying. It's not like a heart transplant. It's a freaking COVID shot. So the state took the kid away. So you had some activists that were there's a core group of activists, and they're great. They're wonderful. You see them at the State House all the time. It's a right-wing conservative group. John Abramson is part of that, and the old Tea Party, all the old Tea Party people, when the Tea Party kind of disbanded, they all kind of became part of this other group now. And they decided to come to Lawrence to the DCF office where the kid was going to be processed. And so they showed up on Union Street in Lawrence, and they went in because it's a public building. If you Google First Amendment auditors, go to YouTube or anything, you will see tens of thousands of videos of people walking into public buildings, videotaping, and people, of course, come out and say, "You can't do that. This is the Department of Revenue. You can't do that. This is this is the Registry of Motor Vehicles. You can't tape in here." But the law says, the Supreme Court has ruled multiple times, that any public building that the public has access to, like not the back office, right, where someone changes or something, but the lobby of the RMV. If you want to walk into the lobby of the RMV with a video camera and videotape everything that's going on, they can't throw you out. They can't trespass you, and they can't throw you out. That's just a fact. That's not even up for debate anymore. The Supreme Court has ruled multiple times on this. So the conservative group, and I don't know if they have a name, I don't think they do, but they decided they want to protest outside and inside the building on Union Street in Lawrence where DCF is. And they went into the building, and of course, they called the cops.
That's Union Street, or is that Merrimack Street?
No, it's Union Street.
Oh, I thought that was on Merrimack
Yeah,
Street.
no, it was on Union Street. Okay. So they went in. I think there is one also on Union Street, on Merrimack Street. But where they were, I believe, was on Union Street. You're saying no?
No, that's in Merrimack Street, I believe.
Well, we'll see when we pull up the video, right?
Okay.
So we have video of this. So they went inside, and I'm not going to bore you with all of the stuff that went on inside. They went inside like most First Amendment auditors do. And, of course, the police were called, and they're telling them you have to leave. And they might have had a point in that when you're dealing with DCF, you're dealing with minor children, right? So, but, however, any area that's accessible to the public, you still have to allow people to film. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. None of that other stuff matters.
Yeah, it's just a sensitive space, I think, because there's children.
Listen, I get it. It's a gray. It's maybe not a gray area, but it should be a gray area, right? Yeah. If you're dealing with kids, so I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt when they're having these people thrown out of the. Can't throw them out of the building. They can certainly throw them out of the office. especially if the minor kid is there. And my understanding is I think the minor kid was actually there when it happened. So they throw them out of the building. So when the woman leaves the building, she encounters our buddy Mike Samad and a couple of Lawrence police officers, all of whom, by the way, I know. And other than Mike Samad, I actually kind of like these guys. But I'm sorry, it just is what it is. The cops were called. They come, and they use the fact that some of the people that are protesting, that are holding a sign, they stepped off the curb. So they weren't on, some of them were not on the sidewalk. They stepped off the curb where you can park a car. So they're not impeding traffic, right? You're not impeding traffic. She's looking at me like I'm wrong.
You're wrong. Street is the street. It doesn't matter if
but
it's
you're
a
not
parking
impeding
space.
traffic. So what they should have done is they should have ordered them onto the sidewalk, and they should have made them go on the sidewalk. And instead, well, I'm going to let you see what happened for yourself, because this is just...
Play it.
Yeah, this is just horrible. This is horrible stuff.
Hold on 1 second. This always
Let's see.
happens.
By the way, let's keep an eye and see if this is Merrimack Street or Union. I think it's Union. But
That's the problem.
What's going on here? What's going on here?
Oh, can we stop that for 1 second? Can you pause it? By the way, there's 3 white women, 2 white guys, and a black guy. Which one do you think they arrested first? Well, you can see it on the screen for yourself, right?
What's your name? What's your name? What's he under arrest for? Excuse me, I'm a member of the public.
Push back. I'm telling you to push back right now.
Wow, wow, wow.
So now he assaults her. So now Mike Samad assaults her. And now what are the cops doing? They're wrestling to the ground.
Push back when I tell you to push back. You understand?
And now we knocked her to the ground.
What's your name? What's your name?
I told you what my name is. Now
You
push
didn't.
back.
I'm
Push
recording.
back. You can film it. You can film it from there.
Wow, she's being hurt.
You can film it, but I'm going to stand in the way so you can't film it.
You're hurting her. You're hurting her.
They wrestled this lady to the ground.
She's bleeding on her chin, sir. She's bleeding on her
By the way, I've got the pictures of the bruises on her face. I should have brought that with me.
What's this person's name?
This is Sergeant Mike Samad. He lives in Methuen. His wife works at the high school.
Can we come over here as gentlemen? You can see it.
Did you see anybody pull a gun?
Grow up.
Did you see anybody do anything? Look, she's bleeding on the street.
Help her! She's in pain! Flip her over, you're hurting her!
Yeah, he's kneeling on her. If that was George Floyd, you'd have a racial riot in Lawrence.
Are you okay? Oh my God, you're hurting her!
Are those her glasses,
Yep.
broken?
Yeah, look at the blood.
Why is he being arrested?
They literally knocked her to the ground.
Interfering, Lano. Interfering authority.
We weren't interfering, we asked what the charge was.
Wow.
There is so many attorneys here.
Activity. No, we do know our rights, sir.
There's so many attorneys here. What a wise ass.
Where is the camera?
Nobody wanted to. Nobody wanted to.
Yes, we did.
No,
we
sir, no, you
we
didn't. So don't
explained.
lie to me. Okay, I've been doing it for too long. Stop lying. I did come over.
You
And
did,
Big Mouth
you're right.
started to.
Can I have your name and badge number,
He
please?
didn't speak to you the way
You didn't give
wanted
it to me.
be spoken to is what happened.
What's-
You arrested him.
I didn't hear
Arrested him
you.
for not using the right.
Wow. Wow. And by the way, at the end of this, you can actually see on the video he bends down and picks up her car keys. And when they went to the station later, they claimed they didn't have the car keys. He never took it. But they have him on video taking the car keys. So one of the people that were there couldn't even drive home because Mike Samad picked up the car keys. On video, by the way. Now, everyone knows Mike Samad and I have problems, so I'm not doing this because I don't like Mike Samad. I'm doing this because yesterday was the trial of the people that were arrested. This happened last February, and now finally, a little bit more than a year later, they're getting their trial. Thank God when I had my problem, my trial was held within, I think, 60 days. We got a trial date. These people have gone through several hearings. Two of the people that were arrested have lost their license to carry a gun. They were both licensed to carry. They've lost their license to carry. They'll never get it back because it's Massachusetts, and Massachusetts, they hate guns. Yesterday they had their trial. They were found not guilty of disturbing the peace. They were found not guilty of all of the underlying crimes that Mike Samad and his buddies, thug buddies, charged these peaceful protesters. They were peaceful before the cops got there. There was no issue before the cops. There was no fights going on before the cops got there. But certainly a woman's face, and I wish I'd brought the picture of the woman. I'll post it on Facebook later. You should see the woman's face that he tackled to the. You have to tackle a woman, a 50-something-year-old woman, to the ground. You couldn't have just turned her around and put the handcuffs on her. You couldn't have put her up against the light pole and put the handcuffs on her. You need 5 police officers to wrestle a 50-something woman to the ground. Now listen, I'm the most pro-cop guy out there. In fact, as we're speaking, there were 5 Lawrence cops down at the police memorial honoring my dad, who lost his life in the line of duty. I even think Rodney King got what he friggin' deserved. I know most people disagree with me on that. But when you watch that video, he gets out and he tries to grab the cop's gun. I think if anybody tried to grab my gun in a situation like that, I'd probably lose my cool too. I think the guy got what he deserved. The cops were still wrong, but I still think Rodney got what he deserved. I'm the most pro-cop guy you're ever going to meet, but that was out of control. Now, I think the intern girl kind of disagrees with me on that.
I do a little bit. I saw most of the video. I think there was a lot of unnecessary, getting in the cop's face.
I agree.
And if the cops do show up and they ask you, stay on the sidewalk, just stay on the sidewalk.
I agree.
You shouldn't be on the parking space, and it just got to another level where it didn't have to. That's my thought process on it.
I agree with all of that.
I think you're protesting. You have every right to do that. But if the cops do show up and ask you to kindly please stay on the sidewalk, do that. Why fight back? Why make it personal? Why get in the cop's face? I'm sorry, Tom.
Listen, I was uncomfortable with the way they were treating the cops. However, the cops' response to that was still not, like I said, I agree that Rodney King got what he deserved. Yeah. But the cops were still wrong for what they did. But he still got the ass kicking that he deserved after trying to grab a cop's gun and trying to shoot a cop with it, right? Yeah. And I think it's the same thing here. They probably shouldn't have been haranguing the cops. They probably should have listened to the cops. Yeah. But you know what an assault is? And I was just last night I was watching one of these First Amendment auditors where he's at City Hall somewhere in Nebraska or somewhere, and the supervisor comes out and gets in his face, like nose to nose, and he gets it in his face. And the guy takes his hand and he does this, and he pushes him away. Yeah. The guy that got in his face committed an assault. People think an assault means you hit the person. Yeah. It doesn't. It means getting in their space. It means getting within 3 feet of their space and making them in fear. So when you when Debo came over to me at TMF and went nose to nose to me and put his nose up to mine and threatened, said my father got what he deserved, and if I didn't keep my mouth shut, I was going to get it too. That was an assault. Now, the difference is I didn't go crying to the police. I didn't go looking for a police report.
It's not crying. And you should do that.
Well,
why not?
But
it's not crying.
It's not who I am. Yeah. But they're pushing me. But it's not. But you have the right, if someone gets in your space, to back them up. And so Mike Samad went up on her. If you watch the beginning again, go back and rewind it. He got up on her really quick. He got right up to her face, and she went like this, and that's when he tackled her. So let me bring one more element into this story, because yesterday was the trial, and I feel so bad because they were found not guilty of all the underlying crimes, but they were found guilty of resisting arrest. Because even though if the underlying crime isn't real, you should be able to resist arrest, I think. If the cops arrest you for something you didn't do, if they're making up a charge, you should be able to resist arrest. Maybe make the cops not do that, right? I'm just saying, right? By the way, that incident is the reason that Mike Samad and 3 other police officers in Lawrence set up William Castro. Because the week after that video came out, William Castro came on my podcast and talked about that video and said he was going to go after all of them and he was going to try and get Mike Samad. He might have said it off the air, but he indicated on the air he was going after Mike Samad to get him suspended. And when the mayor appointed Castro to be acting chief, he made a couple of very public comments about holding certain superior officers accountable for their actions. And he was talking about Samad, and Samad knew it. So they set him up. Now, without even going into all the Castro stuff, you can hate Castro, you can love Castro. Castro is kind of like Trump. If you hate him, you think whatever anybody does to him is okay. And if you love him, you think whatever happens to him is wrong. But remove all of that. Forget that you like him or you don't like him. Pretend his name isn't Castro. Pretend his name is Jim Smith. If a guy comes in and says, I'm going after the corrupt cops in the department, and they set him up, shouldn't the public be outcrying about that? Shouldn't the public have a problem with that? Shouldn't city councilors have a problem with that? I think they should. I think they should. And now that you've seen the video, What would you do if you were the chief, if you were the mayor, if you were the city council? Would you say, oh, no, that's okay? The way they treated that woman, that's okay? The fact that they went up on the only black guy that was there got arrested first? Like, are you kidding me? In the age of George Floyd, in a predominantly Democrat city like Lawrence that has Elizabeth Warren representing them and Pavel Payano and Estella Reyes and Francisco Polino? Are you kidding? And Ed Markey? Are you kidding me? Wow. And yet, I bring it up and I get this tired old, well, you don't like Mike Samad. Well, that's true. I don't like Mike Samad. That doesn't make what I'm saying any less valid. You saw the video for yourself. Did that not make you a little uncomfortable? Because it kind of should have. Made me feel very uncomfortable watching that. And I'm rooting for the cops. When I first started watching the video, when I got out of court, I couldn't go to that event. I wanted to go. Thank God I wasn't there. He probably would have locked me up too. But when I got out and I watched the video online and Janet Aldrich sent that video to me, I was very uncomfortable watching the way they were haranguing the cops, and I was rooting for the cops going, okay, guys, just do the right thing. This is my dad's department, right? Do the right thing. Like, talk to these people, make sure they get on the sidewalk. The two people that were standing off the sidewalk, again, not standing in traffic, that you could clearly see that they were parking spots that they were standing in.
I'm not justifying the violent way.
Right.
So
it's not like they were impeding traffic and that they needed to be physically removed because they were impeding traffic. If they were impeding traffic, I'd be with the cops. But they weren't. So I'm going to leave you with this. This is my question to Mo Aguilar, who's going to be the next chief of Lawrence. Are you going to put up with this shit? Are you going to let this stuff go because you've known these guys for 30 years? Or are you going to step up to the plate and make the hard decisions and hold people like this accountable? Listen, I know every single guy on that video, and there's only one of them I don't like. But it's the one guy that did the worst, right? But every single one of those cops should have been held accountable. And I'm not saying they should be fired, but they certainly should be held accountable. And if Mo Aguilar, and he's going to get the votes, by the way, trust me, like, he could go out and he could shoot 15 people tomorrow and the council's still voting for him because it's already in the bag. He's already got the job. And listen, I'm happy that if they were going to give it to anybody on the inside, they were going to give it to him.
Yeah.
Right? I've been a big fan of Mo Aguilar for a long time. My concern is I really was hoping they were going to give it to somebody on the outside because I don't think a guy that came up, Mo or anyone else, with all of these guys and served with them is going to be able to hold them accountable for shit like that. I just don't. And I really hope I can come in here in a couple of months and tell you I'm wrong. I was wrong. Mo Aguilar is holding these guys accountable, and he's doing a phenomenal job cleaning out the corruption among the superior officers in Lawrence. I'm hoping I can do that. I just don't think I'm going to be. I just think he's going to get in, and all this stuff that's gone on, it's all just going to go away. It's all just going to be forgotten. Guys are going to be retiring and going away and transferring to other departments, and we're never going to hear about any of this stuff. And that's my fear. And that's, I was not against Mo being appointed to be chief. Again, I say, if you're going to give it to an insider, I'm glad it was him. I just think they should have brought somebody from the outside to come in and objectively look at all of this stuff. Someone who's not friends with these guys, didn't go to the academy with these guys, that didn't serve with these guys, and just look objectively at the behavior of the guys in the department and what they're doing. Because there's a lot of damn good cops in Lawrence. They put their lives on the line every day with all the guns in that city, with all the drugs in that city, with the drug cartels controlling entire neighborhoods in that city. These guys literally put their lives in jeopardy every single day going to work. And most of the cops in Lawrence, especially the patrolmen, they're heroes every friggin' day.
I agree.
And when you see stuff like this, it's a stain on my father's sacrifice. That's how I feel. I feel like it's a stain on my father's sacrifice. And by the way, I'd be saying if it was Mike Samad or if it was somebody else. Yeah. I've got friends on the department. Jimmy Razzo, I think, was one of the greatest guys in the world. I think he's wrong about a lot of stuff, but I love that guy to death. But if that was Jimmy Razzo, I'd say the same thing, especially since it's on video. It's one thing to hear a story. It's another thing when it's on video. All right, so we're way over. Like we're what, an hour and 15, an hour 20?
Hour and 8 minutes.
Oh, that's really?
Yeah, but we have to leave here already. They have to.
Oh, okay. All right. Very good. All right. So next week we're going to have Brian Shortsleeve. He is a Hero Marine veteran. He is running for governor. He's going to be running against a guy named Keneally, who's also a Republican. There's going to be a primary. So that's how it works. All the Republicans run against each other to see who the nominee is going to be. All the Democrats run against each other to see who their nominee is going to be. And then the winner of those two run against each other. So we all know it's going to be Maura Healey if she runs. I think she's running. And the Republican side is going to be, so far, Keneally versus Short Sleeve. Keneally is a guy that didn't vote for Donald Trump, so I think he's got no shot.
No.
And if he does have a shot, that means if he wins the primary, the Republicans lose the final.
I still want to see. I still want to, hear what he has to say.
Yeah, well, I'm going to try and get Keneally on, too.
Okay.
I mean, I'm going to grill them both. I'm going to give them both the same types of questions. You know me, friend or foe. I'm just going to call it like it is. So we're looking forward to that. And then I'm really looking forward to Prospect Hill coming in and talking about Adam has left. Adam, the lead singer, has left. The bass player, one of the guitar players, Edgar, took over as lead singer. Their material is so much more heavy metal, hard rock now than it's ever been. And they're touring, and they've got a gig coming up in June at Wally's, and I'm going to be there. They always ask me to be there. They give me a backstage pass, and I go and I hang out with those guys. Cool. It's a good night. You can come if you want. Yay! Absolutely, absolutely. And by the way, you're going to fall in love with these guys when they come in. Like they're such incredible talent. They played the Bash twice. And so we're really looking forward to that.
We have a lot of talent in here in Lawrence. You know that the guitarist from Aerosmith was born in Lawrence?
Joe Perry.
Yeah.
Yeah, he grew up over in the Arlington Street area.
Pretty cool, pretty cool. And shout out to Gregory de Rosario, who's watching us.
I love Greg. Greg, I mentioned you a couple times. You're going to want to rewind and see what I said about you. I really want Greg to be the only guy in the council to actually be proactive on this public record thing and be the hero at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I want to see him get reelected. So there's actually a couple of others on the council I want to see get reelected, but after what I saw on the public records thing, I'm hedging on that now too. So let's thank our sponsors. Let's roll up, Mel. I want to thank Stadium Chiropractic, 4-star lighting. By the way, we have room for 2 sponsors. We have room for 2 sponsors. It's $250 a month. We talk about you through the show. We share all your stuff, social media, and you get a free ad in the Valley Patriot. Who else do you have? W3ON website development, Enterprise Bank. Did I mention Enterprise Bank?
Not yet. This is the first time. Well, you did it earlier, but now it's
I love Enterprise Bank. Chris's Barbershop, Prime Insurance, Doug Mercurio Law Office, Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, Century 21 McLennan Real Estate, the Zany Pesci Law Office, who, by the way, Jane Zany Pesci still the sexiest woman alive.
She is very good.
Marsan and Son Construction, EIS Investigation and Gun Training, Tomo and Shaken Seafood, Clear Path for Veterans New England, AFC Urgent Care, and again, Pleasant Valley Landscaping Contractors, and hopefully we'll have David. Valley Patriot is on the streets.
Yes, pick it up.
Pick it up. By the way, we haven't talked about this, but maybe in the next couple of weeks we will.
Yes.
Doctor-assisted suicide. And what are you going to say before we go?
I have a boyfriend.
You had to out me, didn't you?
Yes.
You had.
He's a Marine veteran, though. He's a Marine.
No,
yeah,
can't fool around with that.
Oh, yeah.
You don't want to fool around with that. Melvin Taylor says you got to go home, so go home already.